Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Hinderer XM-18 Skinny Skinner. This is a USA-made blade exclusive. Thank you very much to Scott down there for making sure that I got my hands on one. It is kind of a funny related story. I've actually had this for quite a while, a lot longer than I usually have before I put a review up, but we've been trying to coordinate to get the review out at a time when they're actually in stock there. And that's just not going to happen. So Scott just gave up and said, put it out whenever you want to. So I'm going to. I will say that at this particular moment, I'm putting this video up. The time I'm recording it, they are out of stock. But every week for the next month or so, he said he's getting a few more in. He got a few more in earlier this week. They went out before I could get the review up. So keep an eye on their page. I'm going to link down below directly to USA Made Blades new arrivals page. So keep looking at that. And if you want one of these at the end of this, which you probably should, then go check that out down there. So let's talk more about this knife. As the name would indicate, it is a skinny version of the XM-18. I'm going to bring up an XM-18, a regular one, in size comparison here pretty shortly, and we'll talk more about the exact differences. But it is thinner, it is lighter. Not only is the handle thinner, the blade's thinner behind the edge, all that kind of stuff. You can tell because it has an S on the blade. What makes it exclusive to USA-made blade is the Skinner blade, which, you know, I in the pictures I didn't think I was super stoked on, but I liked it enough that this one is mine. So I will say I've had it for a while now, and as I will say, these are not the colors it came with. It came with just a OD green scale, and none of this stuff was blue. Everything was stonewash. But it comes in many, many, many different configurations. USA-made blade will be getting many configurations. They may have one just like this. These are all no-cost options if you buy them directly when it comes on a Hinderer. If you want to get one afterwards, you know, you got to pay a bit extra, search around and find them. That's what I did. I wanted the green one I had in my hand just because I wanted to have the one that I had, and because I knew they were going to be coming and going pretty quick, and I just got the blue stuff myself. But you may be able to find a blue one. You may find it in a working finish. You may find it in a black wash. You may find it in a working finish. They're going to have all different assortments of them in, so don't judge this by its colors, although let's admit this came out pretty cool. But that's the thing about Hinderers. You buy them, you make them your own. The base price on one of these is $425. They are not inexpensive. It does come with a tri-way pivot, just like a normal Hinderer XM-18 Gen 6 does. And you have all the usual, you know, kind of Hinderer things, really great quality, you know, really great customer support. And not only from Hinderer, but this one in particular from USA-made Blade as well. They are great people to deal with. Scott down there is just an awesome dude and a big supporter of the channel, and I like them a whole lot. But let's do some specs and size comparisons before I ramble on too much farther. The overall length and all that stuff is exactly the same as your regular XM-18. You have an overall length of 8 1/4 inches, as the name would indicate. This is an XM-18 skinny 3.5, so it's a 3.5 inch blade. Blade thickness, a little thinner than a normal XM-18 at 0.14 inches. Handle thickness, also a little thinner at 0.45 inches, and a weight of 4.73 ounces according to my scale. That was with the stock scale, or with the parts I added. They didn't add any weight. They're just different colors. Okay, now let's do some size comparisons. And as I said, I'll hold the regular XM-18 for last, and we'll bring out some calipers and some scales and all that stuff and get all techie with it. So we have our Spyderco Paramilitary 2. It's not dramatically larger than that. And the Spyderco Para 3, lightweight. And now our usual Benchmades, banging stuff around. We have the full-size Griptilian. No matter what background I use, one knife in every video just disappears into it. Oh, there's going to be 2 in this one. And we have the Benchmade full-size Bug Out. And now another knife that's going to magically vanish. But I have it out here. We have the large Sebenza 31. Yeah, it doesn't disappear too bad. You can still kind of see. Yeah, roughly almost exactly the same size as the large Sebenza 31. I did a comparison between this and the standard XM-18. That's probably the video I will link to at the end for suggested videos. And now we'll bring on a couple more Hinderers. So the regular thickness XM-18, this happens to be a Fullered Spear version, different blade shape, but the stats are going to be pretty much the same that we're going to care about. And lastly, another knife that is kind of starting to impinge on the XM-18's territory, the Jurassic. This one has a custom scale on it, but from Sharp Dressed Knives. But yeah, you get an idea of the size of the Jurassic compared to the XM-18. It's just a little bit smaller. Okay, now let's do some more in-depth measurements here between the two XM-18s. We have a weight of, as I said, but we'll verify here on camera, just so you guys all believe me, what you're getting the differences between the skinny and the standard. 4.73 ounces versus 5.4 ounces. So pretty significant difference in weight. And as I said, on the blade thickness, zero these out here, you're looking at, yeah, roughly 0.16 versus 0.14. And behind the edge is slightly thinner as well. I'm going to put my reading glasses on for this one because I am an old, and this is a very hard measurement to get correctly. Yep, I already slipped off there. About 23 thousandths. Oh, sorry, it slipped there. Hold on. I hate doing this, even with the reading glasses on. It is such a pain in the butt. But yet I continue to try to do it. We're going to call that 25 thousandths behind the edge. Try and grab the spear point. And again, this is a spear point, not exactly the same grind, but the thickness behind the edge on most of the XM-18s is pretty similar. Yeah, you're getting 20. That's not right. I'm up too far. Come on now. Yeah, pretty similar. About 20. This is reading 24 on this one. Yeah, pretty similar, actually. I always just assumed to be thinner behind the edge, but it is not. I can tell you that you definitely notice the difference in slicing, but what did that do? That just went completely crazy. Not the best calipers in the world. Yeah, about 25, 26 on both of them, so almost exactly the same behind the edge. But with that, obviously with the thinner blade stock, you are still going to notice a difference in the slicing. So now let's talk about this knife. So the blade, we're already talking about it. Yeah, you do get a little bit better slicing performance. And what I saw there was pretty accurate. I just assumed that one was thinner behind the edge than the other. They are about the same. But I don't notice a dramatic difference in the slicing in this, but it is definitely there for absolutely sure. And like I alluded to at the beginning, this blade shape in images, not in love with it. It's a Skinner, it indicates. It's a hunting knife, oriented sort of blade shape. But and I'm not a hunter, but once I got it, it is really, really useful. Just for regular old EDC stuff, I've really enjoyed using it because if you ignore, this top part here, which also winds up useful, we'll talk about that in a moment as well. It's just kind of a standardy drop pointy sort of blade, which I really like. Just a little bit of belly, whole lot of flat. Like it a whole lot. This does have a choil. There are choil-less versions of the Skinny available with different blade shapes and things, not in this Skinner blade. But good amount of usable edge. You have obviously it's a Hinderer, very good strong tip on it, no problems there. And this little top swedge, I actually really found it useful, especially when you're choking up. Just for kind of detail-y sort of stuff, it is extremely useful. I really, really like this blade shape. And like I said, just judging from pictures, I didn't think I was going to like it. Don't judge a book by its pictures, I guess. It's actually really, really useful. I really do like it. 20 CV steel, as most new Hinderers are. And I'm really enjoying it. This thing has been an absolute pleasure to use. Ergonomically, also, I don't know. It doesn't... This is a weird thing. It doesn't quite fill the hand as much as the thicker XM-18, which I'm going to bring back out again. But if there's one problem I've had with the XM-18, it's that it felt a bit, you know, jimptastic. You know, there's just a lot of jimping going on there. I get it. But for some reason, even though this, you can see the jimping is spaced exactly the same, I don't notice it as much on the Skinny. It just doesn't bother me as much. I find it easier to avoid my finger landing on this jimping when I flip it open. It just seems easier. Also, I think because the detent is a little bit lighter, we'll talk about that more in action, but with the thinner lock bar, it's just a little bit lighter. It's funny that Hinderer went from having really weak detents to now on the Gen 6s, a lot of them are kind of stiff out of the box, and even to the point that I've adjusted a couple of them for people. But this one needs no adjustment. It's dead on perfect right out of the box. I can actually use the stop pin / thumb stud and spuddy flick it. I have not been able to do that on my regular XM-18 slicer. I can on the Fuller Spirit you saw because it has this Fuller on it. But really long time since I've been able to actually use the thumb stud to spuddy flick. It thumb flicks very well. Much better than the regular thickness XM-18. We're getting into the action and stuff on here, which I'm not supposed to, but it's just, the jimping doesn't bother me as much. I guess because it's thinner. I'm not really sure why. So I guess technically there's less area for my finger to land on. But everybody complains about this flipper tab. But it's not just a flipper tab. It is meant to be also a guard, so your finger doesn't slide forward. So that is why it is shaped that kind of hooky sort of way. Hinderer does design his knives for first responders and people like that. So just grab it up here and light switch it, and you don't hit that. But yeah, ergonomically, it's better than a regular XM-18, and I can't really put my finger on why, even though I know I have 5 fingers on this knife right now. I know that was a stupid metaphor to use, but I just can't figure out exactly why. It's just better ergonomically, but it just is. And as far as the carry goes, it's also better. I still have this big old flipper tab sticking out, so you are still definitely going to notice that. But you know, obviously mine has some blue sticking out. But if you don't, if you get a normal color pocket clip, it's not going to be quite as bright as this. I will say though, the Hinderer pocket clips are pretty instinctive. Hinderers are the only knives I've had 3 times in my life that people just on the street noticed that I had a Hinderer just based on the pocket clip. One was a police officer, but he didn't care. He just wanted to see my knife. But yeah, you do have a flipper tab sticking out, but it is thinner. It is just easier to carry. It's lighter, all those things. I would put this in the same kind of carry category as, well, as another Hinderer design knife, but 0562 tie. It's not quite as nice to carry as a Sebenza, but it's a lot closer than a regular XM-18 is. Yeah, it's not bad at all to carry. I really do like it. And we already talked about the action more than we should have, but yeah, it's just a bit better. It's just a bit better. I think just the sum of the parts for making it thinner. Now, I mean, there's just smooth action. This is running on bearings, but you can put phosphor bronze or Teflon in it if you don't know how the tri-way pivot works. You just take it apart and you can choose your own adventure from there. I much prefer the bearings. I don't run any of my Hinderers. I have 5 of them right now. I don't run any of them on the phosphor bronze or the Teflon, but it's just the action's better. It's better to carry. I think it's somehow ergonomically better, and I like this Skinner blade shape way more than I thought I was going to. Yeah, I will say, I said I own 5. I will say right before this, I traded away the XM-18 that you just saw because I have an XM-18 slicer that I will never give away because it was a gift from a friend and I really do like it. And I like this so much that I'm like, I don't need 2 full-size XM-18s. I like this better. And I will go even a step farther and say, I think in the future, if I get another XM-18, it's going to be a Skinny. I really like the Skinnies a whole lot. This was my first experience with them, other than I had a 3-inch Skinny liner lock, and that one I didn't care for much at all. But I think in the future, all my XM-18 3.5s are going to be Skinnies because I like that aforementioned Jurassic really well. And I used to say this is, my favorite Hinderer, and it maybe still is. But the XM-18 Skinny is really darn close. it kind of corrected a lot of few things that I didn't like about the XM-18 without really realizing it. I don't think that was an intention. It wasn't meant to be a better XM-18. It was meant to be a thinner one. Is it as tough as the regular one? Oh, probably not in some sort of minutia, but I've used this metaphor before, but I like it. But this is still a tough enough knife. If you break the lock on this thing, you have infinitely more important things to worry about. So don't let that stress you out. It is still very much an overbuilt, in a good way, Hinderer. It's just a bit thinner. I'm really liking the skinny XM-18, and I like this blade a lot more than I thought I would. So if you want one, again, keep checking the new arrival section. I get nothing from USA Made blades, so this is not a paid promotion, but just go check them out. Go to usamadeblade.com and keep refreshing that link down below to the new arrivals and grab you one. I am putting this up in early May of 2020. The pandemic is still very much a thing of our daily lives, and a lot of these are actually being hand-built and hand-assembled by Rick Hinderer right now himself. This one was not. This one was before that. And you may even be able to snag one with a little biohazard signal on it, indicating that it was made during the COVID crisis, and you'll get a little signed card. They all come with a signed who assembled it card. You get a signed card with Rick Hinderer's name on it, which is pretty cool. And they charge nothing extra for that. It's still just $425. So if you want an actual Rick Hinderer assembled one of these at the time I'm putting this out, that's why I put this at the end of the video instead of the beginning. Probably most of the skinny skinners that you see come through this USA Made blade for the next couple of weeks are going to be hand assembled by Rick Hinderer with that cool little engraving on the blade to indicate that. So go check that out. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm really enjoying this knife. It's kind of mind warped me about XM-18s a little bit, but I'm really enjoying it. I've been Brian. Have a good one.